As you may have guessed, I've been interested in puppets for quite some time now. It's interesting. People will often ask me, how did I learn to make puppets? And usually I'll just instinctually say, I taught myself or YouTube taught me. But that's not quite the whole truth. And it's funny, because while we tend to learn our artistic skills from a variety of different teachers, I've been quite lucky as to learn most of my puppeting knowledge from one person, Adam Kreutinger. Adam Kreutinger, also known by his YouTube channel name Puppet Nerd, was and forever will be the reason I make puppets. I'll be honest, there's so much I want to tell you about Adam, and a million things I could say about his work. But I've been struggling to find a way to organize all of my thoughts in the way I want to, and attempting to do so has been very emotional. At the beginning of this month, I was devastated to hear the news of Adam's passing. It's strange to admit, but this type of grief I was experiencing was, well, I still don't have the right words to describe it. This wasn't like hearing about the loss of a celebrity or influencer because, although I never got to meet Adam, he was sort of a mentor of mine, and he played a huge part in me learning to become a puppeteer and making puppets, which is now a huge part of my life. I also couldn't shake a feeling of regret that I never got to properly credit Adam for being my greatest teacher, inspiration, and reference in all things puppet while he was still here. So, despite the fact that I should have done this a long time ago, I want to make up for all the times I just said YouTube taught me, and by telling you the real story of how I began making puppets. Spoiler alert, it's all Adam Kreutinger. A little over 2 years ago, I was working with my friends on a sketch show we were doing in college. We had just recruited some new members, and we had a meeting to brainstorm ideas about sketches we wanted to write. I don't know what cultural phenomenon occurred to make this happen, but about half of us independently came to the meeting with the exact same idea. The idea was that we all had no ideas, but just really, really wanted to put a puppet in our sketches. We ended up going forward with 2 different puppet sketches, one by me and one written by my friend Maddie Jones. I knew 2 things. 1, I was not qualified to be the person who made the puppets for our show. 2, I had to be the person who made the puppets for our show. Now, if you've ever set out to make a puppet but had no idea where to start and you've turned to the internet for resources, there's a 100% chance you've come across the content of Adam Kreutinger. Even if you don't end up following his tutorials, his presence in the online world of puppet making is impossible to miss. Naturally, when I agreed to make puppets for my friends, I found Adam's channel, and ignored it because the kids' craft looked easier.
Grab some scissors, then trim down its length to be from lips to crown, and then make gaps where your fingers fit. Glue that thing to the mouth plate bit.
And it was easy. Look, the thing about Adam is that he teaches you how to make good puppets. And at this point, I didn't feel like I had the time, money, or talent to make puppets that were actually good. So for my sketch, my kids' craft sock puppets would do just fine. As a side quest, I had to teach my friends how to be puppeteers because I, the newly self-appointed puppet expert, was ironically cast as human characters in both puppet sketches. So for weeks, I got to boss around my friends and teach them how to look like professional puppeteers. Which is actually way harder than it looks, and it's a skill I'm still trying to improve. Little did my friends know, everything I was teaching them was straight from the mouth of Adam Kreutinger himself. Because Adam Kreutinger would never let you spend hours making a puppet just for you to bring it to life with subpar puppeteering. Next came my real challenge, the beast I was destined to make for Maddie's sketch. The humor of her always charming and witty writing relied pretty heavily on its punchline, a horrific, dog-like alien creature named Anyethber. Anyethber couldn't be any run-of-the-mill puppet. He had to be a big puppet. I found a perfect pattern for this kind of puppet from none other than the puppet nerd himself. But I couldn't quite justify the cost of the pattern because I was already way over budget. The budget being $0. So I had to figure out how to make my own pattern. For this, I would have to turn to Puppet Nerd. That's right, he sells a professional pattern, but also has a whole video just showing his audience how to YOLO it. So YOLO it I did. Ew! And hey, I'm not going to pretend that I made a Jesper by perfectly following Adam's instructions. That would be an insult to Adam because, while effective, this was a very poorly made puppet. But without Adam as a reference, I would have had nowhere to start, and my puppet making journey would have been dead before it started. But since this world was blessed with Adam Kreutinger, we got the Jesper that everybody loved, and my puppet making journey had just begun. I kept making puppets and started taking their construction more seriously, which meant actually following Adam's instructions. For the most part. But by following Adam's tutorials, I was able to make more puppets and more puppet projects. Of course, this culminated in my puppet magnum opus, me! And look, am I as good a puppet as the puppets Adam made? Not even close. Part of that is because I don't have the same level of artistic skill or experience as Adam, but I do also tend to stray ever so slightly from Adam's instructions from time to time. Let's just say I still cut corners here and there, either for logistical reasons or sheer stubbornness. Guys, I didn't always have a well-ventilated area to let rubber cement dry. We can keep that a secret between us, because I never would have told Adam Kreutinger how much hot glue is used to make these guys. Hot glue is like enemy number one in Puppet Nerd world. Although I would have never admitted it to him, I knew I could make these adjustments because my puppets were only ever meant to be passable, not perfect. Adam's puppets are perfect. In fact, and I'm going to look at you with my human eyes when I say this, Adam Kreutinger is the best puppet maker ever. Because, sure, there may be artists out there making puppets as good as Adam could, but none of them at his level have done what he did in the way that he did. He showed us. There's this weird obsession in the art world with keeping trade secrets and gatekeeping information as if that's what makes a good artist. But Adam knew that that's not true. He made his legacy by sharing his expertise and his passion with the whole world. And his legacy is so tangibly felt because there's hundreds of puppets out there, at least, that exist now, made by both kids and adults, that would not be there without Adam. And it goes to show that sharing your art and encouraging others to do the same is really one of the most meaningful things you can ever do. So if you're watching this video right now, go make a puppet. Go get together with people you love and make them make puppets too, because as Adam always said, and as he deeply believed, puppetry is for everyone. So use Adam's free patterns and tutorials to make your own puppet, and then buy his book and learn how to make your own puppet video. And then once you've done that, go buy his more advanced patterns and make more advanced puppets, and then just go check out all of his stuff because he has so many amazing resources and amazing videos that I can't even list here. So whether you've been a lifelong fan of puppet shows and you've always wanted to make your own, or you just want to have a new silly little guy around, go make that puppet because Adam gave us the ultimate gift and he gave us everything we need to do it, which is more than we can ever ask of an artist like him.